attract and retain IT professionals in today's market. Today, I'll give you an overview of the report. Afterwards, you can request a copy of the report at hayes.com/resources. And at the end of the presentation, we will have time for questions. So please write, and I'll respond to them when we wrap up. So about me, so I have been in the IT staffing business for 19 years. My position here at Hayes is that I'm responsible for leading our IT business nationally, including all 11 of our offices and our National Recruiting Center and more than 150 specialist recruiters. So about the report. How we created this report on what people want. We started by surveying 2,100 respondents across the U.S. in all skill levels and experience levels to compile all of this data. From there, we asked which factors mattered most when assessing a job offer versus considering staying in a current role. And some of the specific things that we asked were, what do they weigh as the most important thing when considering a job offer? What do you weigh as most important when considering your current role and whether or not you stay in that role? Would you take a pay cut for your ideal job? Are you happy in your current role? And would you consider leaving for the right offer? So why this report matters to you? Well, first off, there are some really staggering statistics that we discovered when putting this report together. First and foremost, 78%, so close to 4 out of 5 people would consider a job offer. Obviously, this is a large percentage of people, so before we even start with the rest of the information, knowing that the vast majority of people are at least open to leaving is a real eye-opener, at least for me. But before we get too worried, only 10% of people are actively looking. So they are open to a move, but not actively looking. This is a big opportunity to retain a lot of those people, but the time to act is now, because as we have seen above, 55% of people are unhappy. So without action, they are highly susceptible to a competitor's offer. So what are some of the key findings in what candidates told us? What is it that they actually want? We asked which factors mattered most when assessing a job offer versus considering staying in their current role. In these graphs in order, you see salary is light blue, culture is dark green, followed by benefits and career growth. So what does all of this mean? Well, as you can see in both cases, salary is the single biggest factor, but it is outweighed by the other 3 factors combined. In the case of deciding to stay, salary becomes less important and career growth passes benefits in importance. The message here is that if you focus on salary alone, then you won't really be able to attract and retain the people that you need. The survey also showed that overall culture was the main reason that people would leave their job. And that makes sense, I think, as culture is a big part of happiness, and people who are not happy are often ready to leave. And finally, and I think this is really important for us to understand, is that people are willing to compromise for their ideal job. If you have everything else that a candidate wants, then 72% would take a pay cut for their ideal job, and 75% would take a drop in seniority. The key then is to know what people want and promote what you offer that matches candidates' needs and expectations. But what you really need to know and want to know is how this applies to your specific situation. Out of all of this data and information, we've drawn 5 core recommendations from the guide that you can apply to your own recruitment and retention plans. Number 1, take a targeted approach. The first suggestion is to be very targeted in the way that you go after candidates. Sometimes employers want to reach a large number of people and filter from there, but that is inefficient, and it means that you can't use targeted messaging because it won't apply to everyone. Think about who you are trying to find for the role, what career level they're at, what education level are they likely to have, and then determine how to attract them. So for example, if you want to attract Generation Y, then think about where they get their information, what they're interested in, and then specifically go out and try and target them. So how do you go about doing that? So targeting the right people is about the benefit of knowing who you are targeting and adapting your approach so that you can use the right messaging to get their attention, and you can use your targeted communication to reach them. So what are some of the tools that you can use to do that? Well, first of all, shameless plug here, use your recruiter. Beyond that, join associations and local groups relevant to the people you are trying to attract. Locate niche job boards. They could be specific to a skill or possibly a sales focus or a specific university that you like to recruit out of, but there are many, many different niche sites out there that you could use. Leverage internal referrals. Your best employees know good candidates. Ask them for them. And number 4, promote the job aspects that interest your target group. Number 2, ensure that you meet market expectations. Some questions you should be asking yourself. Are you providing market competitive health packages? Is your PTO policy in line with the market? Being broadly off from the general market will severely impact your ability to attract and retain talent. This is what I would call bad surprises. Number 2, competing on salary alone is challenging and not effective, but you do need to meet market rates. Again, there are variances here, so you don't always have to be paying the highest salary. Only one person can pay the highest salary, but you do have to be in line with the general market. And number 3, understand what other companies are offering and talk to your management HR about it. You can't beat everyone on everything, but if you're way off in certain areas, it can have a major impact in your hiring and retention efforts. So how do you go out and find candidates, find out and meet market expectations? Well, number 1, Hayes IT Salary Guide is available for you to compare and contrast your salaries with the market rates. Number 2, your recruiter talks to hiring managers and candidates all day long, so leverage your recruiter. They have their fingers on the pulse of the changing expectations in marketplace. Look at other job listings to see what other people are offering for a comparable role. You should always be reviewing your salary ranges regularly, especially if the role is empty for the first time in a while. The market may have changed since you last filled it. Benefits reviews every couple of years are also very, very worthwhile. 10 years ago, for example, work from home wasn't an expectation. Now it's almost a given in most jobs. It may not be possible for your company to offer it, but understanding what the benefits are in the marketplace right now is really important to developing your plan. And lastly, ask questions when you interview people. Keep a file and talk to your management or HR about it. A lot of your best information will come from the candidates that you're talking to for your jobs that you're posting for. So the third finding, grow your network to find passive candidates. Who is in your network? Are they the right people? Are there enough of them? Are there channels that you could be communicating through but you're not? Those are the questions that you should be asking yourselves. Number 1, you should have an active and engaging social media presence. That's critical today. Some things you should consider when building your social media presence. What is your target audience interested in, and what are you an expert in? What are the things that your company does really well that everyone else should know about? Is your company leading the way in a particular area that would be of most interest to a candidate? These are the things that you should be considering to publish out there on social media. In addition to social media, joining local associations can be useful. Facebook groups, regional associations, meetups, user groups. They are out there in every city. You just need to find them. Your employees all use social media. Have them like and share ads or articles, and always, always ask them for referrals. Your recruiter has a large network of candidates, and they almost always have a very large social media presence. So engaging with the recruiter will spread the word through all of their connections in addition to all of yours and your employees. Utilize them to push the messages that you want to get out there on the market. Number 4, know and share your employer value proposition. We call it an EVP. This is your statement that should succinctly tell someone why you. Why should I want to work for you instead of for someone else? If you can't answer that question, then no one else can. And if you can answer it, but you're not promoting it to your network, then potential candidates still won't know what your company is about. This ties to the content plan we talked about earlier. Sharing content that demonstrates your employer value proposition is a great way to attract and engage candidates, even if you're not hiring right now. So planning ahead is also really important. You don't have to wait until you're hiring to promote your EVP. Right now is a great time to build this kind of awareness in the marketplace. So how to develop and promote your EVP? The first point here is the one we see a lot. Your job ad should be focused on the person reading it, not on the job itself. You're selling the job to the candidate, not giving them a potential task list. Think about what you want to know about a job, the culture, the team environment, growth potential. Information about the experience required and some examples of tasks are important, but those should not be the majority of the job ad. They should be bullet point listed straight from the job description in a minority part of the ad, not the majority. As I said, even when you're not actively hiring, maintain your social media and web presence so you're building your own talent pool and pipeline of interested and engaged candidates. Show, don't tell is an important aspect of promoting your company. Instead of saying, we have great career paths or regular social events, share the story of someone recently promoted who has a great history with your company, or post pictures from social events. Finally, the What People Want report showed that culture is very important for retention. So let's look at what you can do to improve and promote yours. If you want to retain your employees, you have to build a great culture. Remembering that over half of the respondents said they were unhappy in their current role shows how important this is. This is the top reason that active job seekers are looking. Lastly, a great culture doesn't have to be expensive. Communicate with your team, provide strong leadership and direction, and a good work-life balance, and you will have met the key criteria for a great culture. So how do you leverage your great culture to attract and retain? First of all, ask your employees. Employee surveys are a great way to get real insights into what your employees feel. It will help you determine your EVP and find areas to improve. Just the process of having a survey and showing that you are making changes can re-engage your workforce. When companies make the news for their cool offices or generous perks, it could seem like you have to spend money on free lunches or pool tables or flat screen TVs, but the opposite is really true. Across all demographics, 3 things stood out for culture: strong leadership, open communication, and work-life balance. Those are core cultural pillars that take time and effort, but that any company, no matter your budget, can work to improve and promote. Your EVP and your culture are closely aligned. While your EVP might include things like competitive compensation, benefits, and career growth, what you're really communicating is that you have a culture of reward and recognition. Finally, keep in mind that it is never finished. You don't set the culture and then stop adapting. Think about your work culture 20 years ago versus today. It's changed because of technology, because of candidate expectations, because of client needs. Expect just as much to change in the next 20 years as demographics and technology keep evolving. So your culture should be something that you're always building upon. So the summary, and where do we go from here? So the summary of our findings: employees and candidates will compromise to get what they really want. If you're just posting to job ads, then you're not reaching all of the potential candidates that are out there. You still need to meet market rates, but competing on salary alone won't drive the results that you're looking for. Company culture is critical, and employees won't be won over by superficial offerings. And lastly, if you're not promoting your great programs both internally and externally, then they're not going to be attraction and retention tools. So what can you do today? Well, you can download the latest Hayes Salary Guide to review your salary and benefits offerings. Identify your target candidates. Ask your employees what they like about working for you and what could be improved. Invest time in growing your network. Ask for employee referrals for open positions. Consider offering refer a friend bonuses, and talk to a recruiter about building a talent pipeline and showcasing your employer brand. So to get your copy of the full report, because this was just a quick overview, you'll find a deep dive into salary, career growth, culture, and benefits findings, regional trends, key findings by function, and top tips. Again, you can find this report at hayes.com/resources. And that is the end of our overview today. I will open it up for any questions if we have any on the report. I'll give you just a minute to respond. So first question I have is, to what degree of importance does the average company place on retention from what you're seeing in reality? Great question. I think that varies by company. Overall, I would say not as much as they should. Most companies focus more on attracting new people and their efforts to recruit and find the talent that they're looking for. And oftentimes, people that are already working for them are the forgotten ones. So I think that is a big area of improvement in the market in general. If companies focus more on the retention of their existing staff, they wouldn't always be in recruiting mode looking for new people. So do we have any other questions? Looks like that was it today. So, all right, well, I appreciate everyone for joining us today. Again, hayes.com/resources, what people want for the full report. I appreciate your time, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.